Hey everyone, you're listening to the official podcast of 4playernetwork.com. Check us out at that address for everything you need to know about our community, monthly giveaways, and nightly live streams. You can even support us on Patreon at patreon.com/4player. And last but not least, you can catch the live recordings of these podcasts every single Thursday night on our Twitch channel. We hope to see you there. Enjoy. Everyone, welcome to 4Player Podcast. This is episode 697. It is October 8th, 2021, and we've got a three-player crew tonight. I'm joined by Chris Davis.
Hello.
And Nolan Hedstrom.
I believe it's called a thruple.
Did you just make that word up, or is that do I need to
thruple?
What is that, like a gaggle, a small gathering of three people? Is that?
I don't know if it has to be like sexual.
It's sexual?
Yeah.
You didn't say anything about it being sexual.
I mean, that's all right. It's Friday.
What's wrong with just trio?
Yeah, everything is a little weird this week. We didn't do a show last week. And Crispy's out tonight. Brad's still on paternity leave. We don't have any special guests, so it's just the three of us. It's a Friday night instead of a Thursday night. And this is going to be kind of a casual, I don't know, like a free flow of ideas and thoughts or whatever, because mostly for the sake of when we hit the show next week, we don't have like 1,000 things to then go into detail about. We're gonna play some catch up tonight. We're gonna talk about a bunch of video games that we've been playing over the past 2 weeks. Before we do that, though, I saw a movie today in the movie theater.
Oh, really?
I did. I saw No Time to Die. Ask Me Anything.
Was there time to die?
Yeah. I mean, it's like 2.5 hours. That's plenty of time to die.
It is a long movie. I will say, the title of the film makes sense after. Mostly, it's honestly, it makes sense in the last like 5 minutes of the movie.
Is it because Rami Malek's like, well, Mr. Bond, it's time to die, and he's like, no time to die, and he runs away or something like that?
Does he say the line?
You fucking nailed it. They play with that line a few times, as you might imagine, in the movie. I mean, what do you expect, man? It's James Bond. They always do that shit. One of the things I've really enjoyed about Daniel Craig's run as James Bond is that from when he came on board on Casino Royale, they established him as like this very grounded, kind of like serious human character, right? And it didn't feel very much. I mean, he felt like James Bond in the sense that he was like super suave, right? And he was always on top of things.
Wait, are you telling me that Roger Moore was not super suave?
No, let me finish. Let me finish the thought.
Apology to Roger Moore.
No. He was very suave. I'm saying that was like kind of the only connective tissue to like previous Bond films. It felt very new and different. But over the course of 5 films, they very slowly kept like ratcheting up the intensity of like the Bondness of it, so that by the time you get to the end of it, we're talking about like supervillains and like these weird had these big elaborate plans, and they had these like like these bases on like private islands and shit. But because of the fact that they ran
stations,
right? But because of the fact that they ramp it up so like slowly, it felt like it felt pretty organic. Like it makes sense. Like it fits in the world, even though it started as something very different. So I don't know. I like it. I thought it was a pretty good.
You're telling me that George Lazenby was not super suave?
Oh damn.
Nolan, I'm pretty sure all of the actors who played Bond were pretty suave.
I don't even fucking remember that movie. Which one was he in?
I think he was in the original Her Majesty's Secret Service.
On Her Majesty's Secret Service, yes.
Yeah.
That was the one. I think I've only seen that movie once.
Dude, yeah, same here. I've seen it like one time.
I mean, that was his only time.
Correct.
Playing Bond. But yeah, I think a lot of people felt kind of
the entire collection of James Bond films was on Blu-ray today for like $60
It's
on
definitely not.
Amazon.
It's definitely not incidentally. It's definitely no coincidence. Of course, the
I mean,
day
yeah, sure.
the quote final James Bond film comes out, they're gonna put out a pack that has all of them but this one. Kind of deal. Like,
Yeah, that's for sure.
now, if that one had included this one, I might have
I
paid
saw
$60 for it.
yesterday. I
That'd be
saw.
interesting.
I think it was Wario64 posted an Amazon link, or no, it was a Best Buy link where you could pre-order No Time to Die on Blu-ray, and I was
Mhm.
like, it's like literally not even in theaters yet. What?
Yeah.
Oh, they do that for a lot of movies.
Yeah, it's. I mean, it's. At the end of the day, I think a lot of people felt pretty kind of burned by Spectre in some ways. It felt weird, like they shoehorned a lot of stuff into it at the last second. They tried to like retroactively, make it seem like the villain of that movie had like pulled all the strings.
The problem is, Nick, is that movie was, I don't know the best word,
Oh, here it comes.
boring.
I don't know if I'd go that far.
It's
I
a
would
little
say
boring.
compared to Skyfall, compared to Casino Royale, sure. I think this movie goes a long way in kind of like repairing some of that bad.
Wait, hold
blood,
on.
if
Did you say
will.
Spectre?
Spectres? Are you thinking
Oh
of
no,
Quantum of Solace?
I was thinking of Quantum of Solace. Sorry. Spectre was okay.
I
Quantum of
Yeah,
Solace
didn't
was
take
boring.
Quantum of Solace.
Yeah,
Exactly, because it's boring as fuck. I've seen it once. When me and Bernadette were watching all the Daniel Craig Bond films, I was like, we can skip this one. I'll let you skip it.
I mean, the funny thing about that movie, you know what I didn't realize? I found this out the other day by listening, because they were doing the production company did like a podcast, like a 4-episode podcast for James Bond. They were talking about the series, and I didn't realize Quantum of Solace came out in the midst of the writer's strike.
Yeah.
I had no idea. So that was going through the same shit that like the first season of Breaking Bad was going through. So like, which honestly makes a lot of sense. That movie doesn't have much impact on his arc at all.
Quantum of Solace has 25 minutes of a good movie, and that's
yes.
Because the interesting thing about Quantum of Solace is that it's a direct sequel to Casino Royale. Like it's shot for shot. Like Casino Royale ends, and then Quantum of Solace begins.
Yes.
And that's an intriguing thought to throw at a franchise like this. You don't see that very often in this franchise. But then that scene ends, and then they just go off on this other adventure, and it's just you don't remember anything because it's so unmemorable.
I've watched it recently. I like the beginning, like 20 minutes of that movie, and I like the end 20, 30 minutes of that movie. But all the stuff in the middle is kind of boring. But you know what?
I don't know.
I think they realized that.
I would say that you just because there was a writer strike, I don't know, that doesn't give me any solace.
No.
It's still a bad movie.
Damn it, Nolan. Still delivering those awful dad jokes.
Why you do this?
But you know, I just wanted to say, because I've been looking forward to this movie for a long time. It was supposed to be out like over a year ago.
Yeah.
I'm glad it's out. I was a little nervous about it, especially considering kind of like how it's been like one really good movie and one kind of subpar movie. You know, I was waiting to see where it was all going to fall, and I think this ultimately ends his run on a really good note. So, yeah.
How is the new 007?
Great. I think all the characters they introduced in this movie are great. I even the villain who is great, except for the only problem is he doesn't have a ton of screen time, which is odd.
Maybe it's because his face is all fucked up. He didn't want to be on screen.
But Rami Malek is great. Rami Malek is great in almost everything he's in. But doesn't have a ton of screen time. But the movie is, it's good. It's good. I don't know if I would go as far as to say it's like I liked it more than Skyfall, but it's definitely it comes close. It comes pretty darn close.
I can understand it. Skyfall is one of those, like, it's such a fucking good movie.
Skyfall stands alone on its own as like, holy shit.
Skyfall's a top fiver for that franchise.
You know what? I looked it up on IMDb today, and I had to do a double take. It said the user review score on Skyfall was 7.8 out of 10. And I was like, that's some bullshit. That is some bullshit. That movie's incredible. But anyways, we don't have, I was going to try and make some joke about No Time to talk about No Time to Die, but whatever. I was going to fumble it. So let's talk about what we are actually here to talk about, which is video games. And I have a question.
There
for
is
Nolan.
a video game called No Time to Explain, and that would have been a great transition.
No, you should have said Now, time to dive into gaming conversation. What?
Fucking Nolan should
That's
host
okay.
this podcast. He has all these sweet transitions and metaphors and jokes and puns. I got nothing. I have a question for you, Nolan.
What up?
Since we last talked on our last show, we talked about Deathloop
Yes,
for like an hour. Have you
we
played any
did.
more Deathloop?
I have. I have no idea how close to the end I am. But I've played a decent amount more. I haven't played this past week,
Hmm.
because my brain's taken me to other places.
That
But I have
happens.
played more. Kind of similar. So no, I guess I was kind of hating on it, right, on the last podcast.
I,
Or not hating, but I was let down, right?
I think we had a lot of. I think you were probably the most negative about it out of
Okay,
all of us, but
so
we all had criticisms of it.
so,
I
so
finished it
I
last
think
night, by the way.
I saw your tweet, that you had finished it. But yeah, so I remembered I had talked about it, but I forgot. I actually talked about it last week, when Chris Davis and I were streaming, State of Decay 2. But after like a good amount of hours put into it,
Mhm.
I started actually enjoying it a bit more. I think the game kind of stumbles at the beginning, kind of trying to get you into the story and understand what's going on. I don't think it has a good.
It's
I think
sensory overload. I feel like,
it is.
especially
It
early
throws
on.
way too much crap at you, and it's just like all of it. I don't know what's going on, and I guess maybe they want you to be confused. But I don't really like being confused when I'm playing a game. Like I guess if it's like a oh, the story's real weird. That's one thing. But I'm confused by controls, and I'm confused by like how I'm supposed to be doing stuff and upgrades and wait, infusing now. Like what is going on? Like what? And so it was just way too much at once. But I think once I actually kind of started, almost to an extent, ignoring a bunch of that crap and just exploring the world and shooting dudes and sneaking around and playing, I started enjoying it a lot more. And then I actually kind of started getting into it. I get a lot of the criticisms about kind of the game, like when they first kind of started talking about this game, they kind of put it as like, oh, it's a puzzle you have to solve, but you don't solve anything. It's like a puzzle with two pieces, and it's like, oh, which piece goes where? Like it's like super simple at the end of the day, mainly because there's not really a solution besides the one solution.
I mean,
um
the puzzle of the game is literally explore these environments, find information. When you find information, it logs it, and it
yeah,
kind of puts the puzzle together for you
correct.
until ultimately it tells you how to use all those pieces together. Like it
Which is
literally
frustrating. And
tells you.
like I talked about it with Bernadette, that I was kind of describing it as the way I thought the game was going to be was more like Majora's Mask. Like there's a constant ticking clock, and this guy is going to be standing at this place at 11:30. Period. Unless the day before you do this and intervene, then he's not. That's what I thought it was going to be, but it's not like that at all. It is, the whole like set, 4 time periods, and like yes, there is a little bit of you doing something in the morning might affect the afternoon, but the fact that it's just like a single day and like
And you can
so
spend
like
like 6 hours in one, or you could spend 24 hours exploring a level
yeah,
if you wanted to, and it would never progress time forward. And
correct,
somebody in our Discord said this, and I don't know who it was, so I apologize, but I saw somebody describe it as a glorified level select, which is what it ultimately is.
yeah,
Because like the loop of it doesn't ultimately feel very significant because it's so tightly controlled by the game itself. It's so like you pick a day, a place, and a time of day. You explore it however you want, and then you leave the level. If you die, you just have to start the day over. But like it just does the whole same thing over again, where you have to pick a place to go in the morning, pick a place to go at noon, and all this stuff. As opposed to just like what you described a minute ago about like this person would be standing here at this time of day makes sense. But then when I start to think about like the complexity of trying to make that work, especially when everyone in the environment kind of like breaks off of their pathways, like when you like if you fire your gun and they hear it, they'll wander off of their path. You
well,
might kill someone. It feels there's like so many
think
different moving pieces.
think
It'd be
think
really
about it.
hard to kind of.
Not necessarily, because actually, because Bernadette and I, for the past I don't know how long, 6, 7 months, we walk the dogs every morning. And it's about like a half-hour walk. And so we obviously talk about stuff a lot. And obviously, if I'm playing a game, I will talk to her about that game. And when I started saying that, she was like, that kind of sounds like what you're wanting it to be is almost like Hitman. And that's a good point. Like in Hitman, every AI, they walk from here to here to here to here unless something happens that will divert them from their path. And that's what I kind of thought this was going to be. And while there is a little bit of that, it's just the fact that it is so tightly limited to a single area at a single time of day. It just makes it feel less impactful because I don't know. It just feels, I don't want to say all of the AI are meaningless, but they kind of are. The only characters in this world that really matter are the what are they called? The dudes
Visionaries.
the visionaries. They're the only ones
Yeah.
that matter. And everyone else is they're pointless. They are cannon fodder. There's no reason for them to exist.
I still like what Crispy pointed out the first time we talked about this is that like the fodder, as you say, are just like a bunch of drunk idiots. like they're all there just because they wanna like drink and smoke and fuck and do all this stuff and kill themselves over and over again because they know they can reload, and that's the way they act.
Sure.
So like thematically speaking, I really like that aspect of it, but like the visionaries are really, like you said, all that really matter. And there were very few like there were so many moments where I felt the game was like setting up something cool to happen. That would be kind of like Dishonored, where I would like open up myself to an opportunity that I didn't have before.
Mm-hmm.
And when that opportunity came, it ended up feeling flat, I feel like. And I don't know how else to describe that, especially without spoiling stuff.
I mean, I think it's fairly known out there, and you could probably bleep this if you want, but I think it's fairly known out there that there is only one set way with this game to actually break the loop.
Yeah, so and that's kind of one of the things I wanted to bring up, because I finished it last night, and I was waiting. It's one of those games where, like Nolan, you said, at any given time, it's kind of hard to tell how much you have left, because of the nature of the way the game works. And then at some point, it was like I have all these pieces, right? I've spent all this time exploring the world, finding all these pieces, and I thought at the end it was going to be like, okay, you have all the pieces, boom, 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 boom. Now figure out how to string them together. But it doesn't do that. It literally just strings them together for you and says, go do this. And so at the point where it's like time to finish the game, I literally knew exactly what actions had to be taken at what days in what places. And I guess something about that is satisfying, but it was certainly not satisfying in the way I was hoping it would be.
It's satisfying. It would be more satisfying if that was one way to do it. If that was like an optimal way to do it. But if you had the freedom to just go about it however you pleased, that would be a whole other story. And I think this game would be a lot better for it.
I think that's a pretty big distinction. I do want to say, I just think this is a great game, and I think, especially if you're enjoying it more now, Nolan, you should try and finish it. It's a great game. I think looking back on it now that I've played it, and I think about Arcane's like history or my history with playing Arcane games, I'm like, I don't think I can say that I like this more than Dishonored or I like this more than Prey. But it's also another like a road mark in their trajectory, I guess, that's like really interesting. Just interesting in the same way that Dishonored is interesting because it was unique and open and fun. But like, I feel like they tried something really new and really interesting, and it didn't quite land the way that Dishonored or Prey did.
For sure.
Although I hear a lot of people recommending, like, if you feel kind of burned by this in the end, go back and play Prey Mooncrash.
Yeah.
Which honestly, I know Chris Davis has said that a few times. Brad said it a couple times. I was always kind of under the impression that Mooncrash was like some kind of like quick side thing.
No. Mooncrash is like a more sim version of Deathloop. Because you're going through this moon base as 4 different characters, and everything you do between experiencing these characters' perspectives carries over. And you're slowly learning more about the world and things like that. So
and the world is honestly, I love the world of Prey. I love the world of Dishonored. And maybe this is I've heard people on other I heard someone on another podcast say that like the world of Dishonored never clicked with them, and they didn't like it. But Deathloop totally jived with them as far as like kind of like the '60s party vibe and stuff. And to each their own. I think I had the exact opposite reaction. Like I loved the whale punk or whatever they're calling Dishonored. And I loved the feel of Prey and whatnot, and this just doesn't feel quite as exciting to me. But still had some amazing moments. I think the invasions are like my favorite part of this game. I had my final invasion last night where I was going to do the final like run, and I ended up in like a 35-minute battle of wills with this one person, and it was just kind of like who is gonna lose their patience first. We were both, and it turned into this like game of cat and mouse where it's like first we were trying to snipe each other and like move around and find sniping positions, and then it turned into okay, because I was using ether, I think the one that makes you invisible, and they were using havoc, and it was just like we were trying to use our powers in different ways to try and overpower each other, and then it turned into a game of like who can lure someone into a trap with like mines and stuff, and then it just devolved into this like okay fine fuck it, and we just went into the party area in Updom, and just fucking had a huge gunfight, just running in circles around each other, like trying to blow each other away with shotguns. While like all these people were rushing out of the party because of our gunfight, and it was utter chaos, but it was so good. Just like 30 minutes of trying to take this guy down, and I got him. And
nice.
Like when I did that, it was like chef's kiss. It was so good. Those are the moments that are super super cool in this game that you don't really get in these other games.
So have you started invading other people?
I dabbled with it early on. I might go back and do that now, but my plate is kind of full.
I think it's really better now that you have context for the entirety of the story. I think Juliana's story in the invasions plays out much better.
Okay, that's good to know. I'm gonna try and find some time to do that because it is really cool. It's a really cool feature, and I can definitely tell like later in the game I was going up against Juliana's that like they definitely know this environment better than I do. I feel like they've probably already finished the game and they're just sharper at the game than I am at this point. So it'd be cool to go back and do it. But yeah, I just wanted to bring it back up and mention it because we were. It sounded like we were super critical of it last time, and we were. But I think there's still a lot to enjoy here because it's Arcane. They make really good games. I'm really eager to see what this fucking Redfall ultimately ends up being, almost purely because it's Arcane. So if anybody can make that kind of game really interesting, I feel like it'd be Arcane. Where do we want to go? Chris Davis, you had a few things you wanted to talk about tonight. Why don't you just pick one and go?
Okay. Well, I'll go with the Nolan game I wanted to talk about, called Heroes Hour.
Yes. Are you rolling footage of this, by the way?
Yep, I've got footage.
I'm gonna make sure because I wanted to make sure I watch it.
So I'm gonna warn you. This is a game for ants.
Oh my god!
Yeah, it is a very squint and kind of look at it thing. This is somewhere between a Civilization style 4X game.
Oh my god! Can you read that font?
Yeah, I mean you could read it, but like again, this is like 720p shrunk down. It's kind of hard to read right now. It's somewhere between Civilization and kind of Mountain Blade. The idea is that you are just a nation, and you're trying to conquer the map. That's it. There's no real story behind it.
You're conquering the map using what kind of, like in what sense?
Using an army that you build. This is a military conquest game. There is nothing else you can do but military conquest. And the core loop of the game is you will spend days building up your army, and then you send them out to conquer enemies, collect resources, and then go attack other NPCs' armies. And that's it.
I saw real quick. I saw you had a bunch of icons on this map, and then all of a sudden they all kind of exploded into units.
Okay, so the game is composed of two phases. The first phase is you are on the main overworld map, and you're just taking your army around with your hero, and you're going and collecting resources and slowly building your army. The second part is when you go into battle, which is what you're seeing right now. And when you go into battle, you have all your units, and when you spawn in, you have an icon for each one of your units and a number showing how many of those units you have.
Okay, so that's what I was seeing.
Yeah.
So at some point they activated, and all those units that were represented by that number became like.
So it's almost like Advance Wars, but instead of having like a tiny icon with a number and then it zooms into battle, instead of it zooming in, they kind of spread out.
Yeah, they kind of explode out. It's actually very satisfying to have like one unit, but like there's 130 of them, and then you press start battle and just boof, they're all over there.
Watching them all go to town, yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, this game is very heavy on like stats and RPG elements to it, where you can level up your hero, and there's skill trees and bonuses you can put towards your army. But the core loop of the combat is that you place your units, you press start battle, and they go auto battle themselves. They're entirely their own AI. You could order them to defend or attack. You could summon reinforcements and then cast spells. And generally, you can give them groups of units direction of where to go. But other than that, it's just a full-on auto battler.
Gotcha.
And most of these battles will last you maybe a minute or two.
Are you playing this on PC or Switch, or what?
This is PC.
PC, okay.
It's only available on PC right now, and I don't expect
that makes sense. This doesn't look like it would translate very well to a Switch.
No, this is not a handheld safe game. But it's cool how many AI like army guys you can collect, and just the variety they're in. There is a lot to find. Like in in this gameplay, this is all very late game is what I'm showing here.
Yeah.
But I've got an army. There's 10 factions. I'm the army of the forest. And as the forest, I've got access to like forest elemental creatures, but I can also conquer other regions and get different types of units. So I start out with like a fairy army. And when they die, they become spirits, and you can collect spirits from enemies as well when you kill them. And then I've got these kind of like wolf things I can use. And when they see one of their fellow units die, they become buffed up and enraged, and they become harder to kill. And the effect does stack.
And that's just an example of units that are specific to that faction.
Like that's just an example of that. I've also got like tree ants and like goblins, and like any fantasy creature you can possibly imagine is probably in this game. I've got armies of Lismen. I've got liches. I've got Nosferatu. I get attacked regularly by lion gods and griffins and anything you can imagine. Really, is
you have armies of Nosferatus?
Yeah, I've got Nosferatu. They are higher level enemies or higher level spawns.
Units.
Yeah, they're high. They have a higher power cost to deploy into battle. But they move really fast, and they're really good at kind of flanking enemies at once. Because they turn into bats, and they kind of jump all around the map.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, no, there's every single unit type has some kind of unique aspect to it. They'll be ranged, they'll be melee focused, and they'll all kind of have their own special powers. And then on top of that, you can upgrade your characters with like necromancy. So when you finish a battle, you can summon the spirits of those and carve them into other creatures. It's really surprisingly how deep and intricate it is to build out your army.
That's pretty cool. This does look like a Nolan game.
Yeah, there's tons. Like it's so hard to describe what's going on in a battle right now. But like my units are just going out and doing what they need to do.
Yeah, I don't think it's relevant what's going on as long as you're winning.
Yeah, as long as you're winning, basically. Yeah, the bar at the top of the screen actually tells you your progress in the map.
Okay, I was about to say, is there any way to like quickly look at the screen and tell in that exact moment where you stand as far as victory goes?
Yeah,
but it's that bar at the top. Okay,
yeah,
makes sense.
There's summons you can do That's actually pretty cool. One of the summons I like to use is I summon eldritch horrors onto the map, and they're kind
Sorry.
of like just like beholder things. And when they spawn in, there's actually some there right now in the upper right hand corner.
I'm sorry. Wait, real quick. Eldritch
Eldritch horrors. They're just called the
Mhm.
horror.
horrors.
Yes.
Yeah.
Horrors.
Not
Okay.
not
Mhm.
W
Okay.
horror.
Yeah.
You know.
I had to do a double take. Okay.
Yeah.
Just making sure.
Yeah, when you
Continue.
spawn them in, they will instantly freeze a bunch of enemies around them in fear, and they're disabled for the rest of the fight. And then they go and attack other enemies. Uh, I guess just the combinations you can do and the armies you can build is surprisingly fun.
So, out
This
of curiosity, does the whole game take place in the Mushroom Kingdom?
so this
This
is the art
looks like
style.
Mario Six. This looks like Super Mario World.
I mean, I think there is some inspiration in there, especially with some of the dungeon areas and the places you
Mhm.
can go things. Like you can go all over them. It's not just like the armies and the enclaves you can like find that are just generated and interesting. Like the
Mhm.
fucking locations you can go to, like a witch's tower where she could potentially give you a wish or actually curse you. Or you'll go over to an ore mine, which is being guarded by a griffin or so much variety as to how they generate these maps. And again, this is procedurally generated. This entire thing.
Hmm.
Oh.
When you'll select a map type, and it will give you like an kind of a general layout as to where you will be in the map. But like that's it. The rest of it is
So,
just fully generated.
so with it being procedurally generated, and you mentioning you were already kind of late game in this footage, is this a game where you do like multiple campaigns, or you're only meant to play it once? Like,
But
how
you
long
can
is a
they
how
really
long
do
does it
encourage.
take you to maybe conquer the world?
I mean, this playthrough was about 6 hours.
Okay,
But this was a playthrough against two primary armies,
but
and then several
so
neutral armies.
my next question was like, because I think you had maybe mentioned earlier choosing like the tree people or whatever. My assumption is if you beat the game and then restart, you can choose like a different faction, and it kind of
Oh
changes
yeah,
how things go. Or yeah.
yeah. I was the army of the forest. There are 10 factions, I believe.
Oh
There's
wow.
like an
When
undead
you
faction. There's a
but when
human
you pick a
faction.
faction, are you kind of with that faction for the duration of that game?
For that playthrough is
To start, you are. So like right here is my original starting spawning location. Where I get
your
my tree
treehouse.
ants and everything. But if I conquer more territory and I conquer other towns, you can get access to the other enclaves.
Hmm.
So I've got on the other side of the map, for example, a Liz person enclave, and
Liz
then I know
person.
there's like there's a human enclave to the north, and there's a bunch. And
It's like
each
a
one
Liz
has
Lemon, Nick.
and
Nice.
each
I
of
get
them
that
will
joke now.
have the same like basic structure of buildings you can build in your town. But the contents of the units you can spawn from those are based on the enclave you choose.
Gotcha.
That's
So yeah,
cool.
there's my lizard people temple, and that's where I'm spawning a bunch of lizard beast army guys.
Scalies.
I guess.
Gailies. I like that one.
Yeah, there's
That's
there's
cool.
a
And
lot to like discover in this game. I can picture this game easily being 100 hours if you really want to explore like everything the game has to offer. And this game is still in development. This is only version 1.6. It came out earlier this year. They said that they are redesigning the audio because it's very kind of like 16 and 8-bit kind of like audio design. A lot of synth stuff, but they're also focusing a lot of their work on a single player campaign. So introducing like a story to it.
yeah, because so right now it's just basically just very mechanically driven. Just you have one very clear objective, not really much to like give it context or anything like that.
Yeah, there's not so much a story right now, but they're working on that.
That's
And you
cool.
can really get the foundation of like what they could do with that based on just how much stuff is in this fucking game. Like
Just out of
Mhm.
curi-
I'm
Oh,
just
go
walking
ahead.
past a temple right there, a cloud temple. And what I can do is I can wish for either peace or war when I go there. And if I wish for war, I immediately go to war with every single faction in the entire game.
Hmm.
Or I can wish for peace and I immediately go for peace with every single faction.
Interesting. Why would you ever? Yep. I'm sure there's a reason. Real quick, um, what? Just out of curiosity, what turned you on to this game? This seemed kind of like out of left field. I hadn't heard anybody talk about it.
I saw a trailer,
Oh.
and it looked really interesting, and so I went to. It's only available on itch.io right now. It's going to be on Steam
Ah,
probably later this year.
gotcha.
And that was their Steam trailer to announce it's coming
Gotcha.
soon.
Yeah, people listening to this are probably like, I'm gonna go check this out and just can't find it. So I'm glad you mentioned it was on itch.io. And again,
Yeah.
that's called Heroes Hour.
Heroes
Right?
Hour. It's a little bit of a generic name, but it's a surprisingly fun little diversion.
Cool. All right, let's switch gears. Nolan, you had a surprising game on the dock today.
Did
Tell us
I?
about that. Based on your background that you chose for tonight's show, you've been
Yep.
playing some Metal Gear Solid 2, Sons of
That's
Liberty.
correct. Yep.
Which version are you playing?
The HD edition. So the
Ha-
re-release. I do own the OG. I want to say I think I own the Substance.
Had you played the
Uh,
HD or the HD version before?
yes, once per my save file in 2013.
Oh wow!
So
Wait, did you just
not
pick
too
up the
long
save
after.
file and keep going?
No, I didn't. I restarted a fresh save file because one of the things I'd kind of gotten an itch to play the game. Some of the old school. I honestly, so it all started. I wanted to play Metal Gear Solid 4 because I'd not played that in a very long time.
Right.
And I was like, you know what? If I'm going to play Metal Gear Solid 4, let me kind of do a little bit more with the older games because when I originally played the OG Metal Gear games, I never really did too much of the side content
Yeah.
that they had to offer, the VR missions and stuff like that. And I was like, I kind of want to check some of those out because I've always heard good things. And actually, this is what you're seeing here. This is what I'm doing. I'm doing one of the more. I think this is an alternate mission, is what it's called.
Yes.
Or this might be the bomb disposal, but I think that's part of the alternate missions. But anyway, the point of those is, you have to uh, disable all the bombs. But on this one, the bombs are actually attached to guards.
Mhm.
So if you knock
Oh.
out a guard, it blows up and you lose. And so you have to be very careful about how you approach the situation. So you can't just knock them out. You have to first disable the bomb and then knock them out or whatever. But I didn't realize how in depth a lot of those alternate missions and like kind of some of the VR missions got. Now I will say I fucking hate like the shooting based VR missions, the ones that are just like like first person, handgun, shoot all this stuff, blah blah blah. Those
Yeah.
ones are bad, mainly because that's not really what this game was designed for.
No.
Um, and so I did a bunch of them just so I could say I did kind of type deal. Not really worrying about like how I was doing on them, just trying to do them so I could say I did kind of type deal.
Right.
But some of these more alternate missions that are a little more kind of out there I've been enjoying. Some of them are just like photography missions where it's like find this object in the environment and take a photo of it.
Oh, that's cool.
And that get a little more in depth too. Like one of them is like, a photo of this guard in this weird position, and so you have to make him get into that position. And if you take a photo before, then you immediately lose. So stuff like that. But there's just like a bunch of like fun ones. There are definitely, like I said, some annoying ones. One where like Meryl's like knocked out in the middle of the ground and you have to protect her from guards like running at her. But the problem is you're like super far away on like a platform with just like sniper rifle. So obviously when you're looking at that sniper rifle, you're super zoomed in and you can only see like a 20th of the screen, and there's just like like 20 guards running around, and and they keep hiding behind things, and they don't just hide
Yeah.
behind them for a second, they'll hide behind them for like 5, 6, 7 seconds. And so it's very easy to miss. And that one was just like, oh, it was making me so mad. But some of the other ones are really fun. Like there's some that are just like straight up like obstacle courses, like get to the end of this thing in this time limit. But there's also like shit in your way. There are other ones that are like straight up just first person ones that are it's like dark. Yeah, I don't know. I was having a lot of fun playing it, and obviously just kind of I did replay through the story.
Okay, that was my next question. I didn't know if you had actually gone through the story as well.
Yeah, no. So the other thing that I'd never done with these games is I've never collected the dog tags, and I was like, I kind of want to collect some dog tags because I've never really done it before. I think on that save file I looked, the one I'd completed, I had like 7 dog tags. I think there's like 200 dog tags in the game.
If I remember correctly, doesn't like every soldier on the base have?
Not every. Most do. But the thing is, you actually have to collect different sets on each like difficulty level.
Yeah.
Oh.
So like
there's only like
easy has a
50
different
per
set of
difficulty level, right?
yeah. Easy has a different set from normal, from hard. They have like different dog tag sets.
That's a bitch move.
Yeah. Well, so the thing is, so I replayed the game on very easy, just trying to get through the story, trying to remember all the stuff I had forgotten. I obviously I forgot a lot of the details. It took me, so I saw my original save file from 2013. I think it was like 11 hours 45 minutes. Played through it on very easy, getting through the story and stuff like that. I think 7 hours. I played through it again on easy, skipping the cutscenes, and obviously now remembering how to get around. And I finished it in like 3 hours and 30 minutes.
Wow! Holy crap!
And so I do feel like I can probably get through the next 2 difficulty levels pretty quick. Just because now we know what's going on. Obviously, they're more difficult.
Mm-hmm. Do you get something special for the dog tags? I don't remember.
And so that actually helps you with the more difficult levels, because the first thing you unlock is the bandana or the wig. The bandana when you're Snake, the wig when you're Raiden. That gives you unlimited ammo. So that's definitely super helpful. It doesn't count against anything. You just, as long as it's equipped and you use some sort of like ammo device, you don't use any ammo. So having fun doing that. Besides, like I said, I never really collected them, so I never unlocked the bandana or anything like that. But then the other thing was that some of the dog tags, like especially on like the tanker, are super obnoxious because you have to get them via, if you recall, towards the end of the tanker level where you interact with Metal Gear Ray for the first time, there's a bunch of guards like all standing at attention listening to a speech or whatever.
Yeah.
Oh,
it's like there's one guy in the middle that has a dog tag, and you have to literally like stand off to the side and shrink every fucking guy around him so they're all unconscious, so they don't see you go and grab him. But then once again, since he's in the middle, you have to grab a row of guys to get to him. And then so the first time I did it, I think I fucked up when I got him, and I accidentally these guys are a little bit different. That when you hold them up and you're like freeze, and they go still. If you bump into them afterwards, they get re-alerted. So I accidentally bumped into him. Fuck. So I have to do it again. And the second time, as I'm going to grab him, I accidentally bump into another guard. You have to do it again, and finally the third time I was able to get it. But it was just like, oh my god, it's so annoying. Fucking Kojima, man.
He's fucking crazy.
Yeah. But yeah, so I mean, definitely having fun playing it. I'm probably going to play through the other 2 games on the HD collection. Peace Walker, only ever played that on the PSP. And then Metal Gear Solid 3, probably the Metal Gear Solid game I played the most of.
It's a goat.
Just that was one of my favorite ones growing up. And obviously it's been a while since I played it.
How much of the variety missions have you done?
Several. I don't know exactly how many, but quite a few. I have done the is a like Guardzilla,
Genola
or something like Genola. That one. It's one of these sneaking missions, because there are different types. So it's either sneaking, and if you get caught, you immediately lose. There are some that are like hold up missions, that it's like, oh, you just have to hold up the guards. There's some that you have to eliminate them, but that one, all the guards are like fucking 200-foot guards with spikes on their backs. They look like Godzilla, and they literally like stomp around and then roar. And if they see you, it's game over. There's one point in that level where you're having to scale a building, and a guard will giant guard will peek in the window
Oh,
and
I've
catch
seen
you.
shots of that. Yeah.
Yeah. So I've been doing that. I did that one. That one was pretty fun.
The
I don't
But
think
yeah,
it's
no,
one
last
of those
one.
series that I kind of want to go back to.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's because it's so fucking wild.
Oh yeah, the last one of each of those variety missions is one of those gauntlet missions where you face waves of enemies, and then
Yeah.
the last enemy is you have to fight one of the
Yeah,
Genoas.
correct. Yep.
And each one, as you progress and play as the other characters through the variety missions, Raiden, and then Snake, and then Tuxedo Snake, and then
Ninja
MGS1
Raiden.
Snake. They
Yeah.
just provide more tougher and tougher scenarios, but also
Mhm.
more and more intricate takes on those missions, and
Yeah.
they get pretty fun.
Yeah.
You know,
This is-
one thing I'll say watching this footage, and I know this is an HD-ified version, but
Mhm.
man, I still think it's kind of shocking that these games are on the PS2. Like, holy
Oh,
crap,
yeah.
they look good. Like, I mean, this is HD obviously, but like it looked pretty sharp on the PS2 if I remember correctly.
Did.
Yeah,
Like, it's impressive what they were able to pull off with that tech.
yeah.
For sure.
Are
Did
you
you
eventually gonna?
go ahead?
I was just gonna ask if he was eventually gonna play 4 again because that's how this all started to begin with.
I'm going to, and then I'm gonna play 5 afterwards. That one's probably going to be much more of a bitch than all the rest of them, just because I know that one is scale wise. Yeah, like I said, like I was able to beat Metal Gear Solid 2 my second time through in 3 hours. I'm not going to finish Metal Gear Solid 5 in 3 hours.
No.
That one's a beast of a game. But yeah, that's my plan. I've just kind of been in that mood, and who knows, maybe I won't finish. Maybe something will come along that'll kind of
Distract you?
distract me away from it. But that's the plan as of now. This has kind of been one of my favorite franchises and one of my most some of my most fondest memories growing up. So kind of just wanted to get back into them.
Well,
These are all games that I haven't played in quite some time either, and I do love the series. And watching this footage of 2 makes me want to go back and play. 4 is actually one of the games I remember so little about. I remember like every time I think of that game, I think of the Shadow Moses
Of course.
sequence,
Yeah.
and that's like the only thing I remember from that game. And it's like, what the fuck? So much other stuff happened in that game, but I don't remember it.
yeah,
So-
you didn't get the Sunlight Gun, did you, or the Tanegashima?
Oh yeah.
Man, Kojima's a fucking crazy person.
Oh
Like,
yeah, he is.
Yeah.
There's so much weird shit in these games, and I love it.
Yeah.
But dude,
if you
it was
ever
actually is. Sorry, go ahead, Chris Davis.
I was gonna say, if you ever get the chance, go back and play Metal Gear Solid VR missions, the original VR missions game. They have a lot of fun with how they make those missions, and then it also has a variety mode. And one of the cool sets of variety modes is it's a murder mystery. So there's like a guard that's murdered, and you've got a lineup, and you have to figure out which suspect actually did it.
Huh.
That's pretty cool.
Oh, and
I
then
like
there were
that.
3 dedicated missions in which you actually play as a cyborg ninja. So you've got like his
I
fools-
remember that. I
Yeah,
remember hearing about that back in the day when it first came out, or
Yeah, and it's
around
so
the time it came
fucking
out.
good. Oh
Yeah.
man, I ordered a new copy so I could play it again
Recently?
Of
Is
the
this
VR
part of
missions?
your
of the original VR missions. Yeah, the original disc.
is this part of your quest to go back and buy a bunch of older games?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
For some reason, I found my disc missing, and I can't find out. I couldn't figure out where it was, so I just went.
We
ahead and
all
ordered
have
a new copy.
those when we go to find something. We're like, wait a second,
Yeah.
did I lend this to someone and and never get it back?
It's gone, son of a bitch.
So I want to
The
switch
one thing
gears
I did.
Oh, go ahead.
Walker, before we do, because I did happen to, just kind of while I was kind of getting into Metal Gear mood, I was kind of looking up some stuff about Metal Gear, and I did see one thing with, Kojima. We talked about him being crazy and doing some weird ass stuff. Apparently, in the development of 3, one of his team members, obviously Kojima doesn't do everything. So one of the people who was doing character development was like, yeah, the Fear. If you remember the Fear, he's the guy that's like in the forest that kind of camouflages and stuff.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah. So my idea for him is he walks around on all 4s and he licks up bird poop. And Kojima was like, no. And so obviously Kojima has a limit as well. And thank God.
Wow.
Yeah.
Who would have thunk that would be the line? Somebody was like, "We'll find the line with Kojima. We really gotta push for it."
That being
That's pretty
said,
fucking
based
funny.
on Death Stranding, I think he's getting really close to that line.
I feel like if that had been the case, it wouldn't have surprised me. Like I would have been like, "Oh yeah, this is just Kojima. That's what he does." All right. So I wasn't honestly talking about this tonight, and I didn't end up having time to capture footage of it. I will bring footage next week and go into more detail. But I have played about 3 hours or so of Far Cry 6. And the reason I wanted to bring it up tonight is because before I get too deep into it and I'm just like thinking about it and like with all this like baggage and everything that comes with the series, I just wanted to get some really quick first impressions kind of out of the way because there's a few things right out of the gate that I've noticed about this game. And that I think make it kind of stand out from the games that came before it in some interesting ways. Like just right out of the gate too, like your character, I feel the character that you play as in this game feels like way more of a character, like an actual character, a part of the world than
It's not a silent protagonist.
Not a silent protagonist. In fact, you can pick male or female. She's very chatty. She's has a lot of history with the island, a lot of history with the characters on the island. And obviously, these stories aren't super deep, but you're playing as this person who's been living on this island that's essentially been frozen in time since I think there was a blockade that was put up in like the 1960s.
It's not Cuba.
It's not yet. It's Cuba, but it's not Cuba, quote unquote. Yes. So it's been kind of frozen in time, right? And she's in the midst of trying to. There's this dictator who is now Gus, from Breaking Bad, who's trying to kind of. He's basically going around the island and taking people as slaves and using them to work these fields, and he's a dictator, right? So you're trying to, at the beginning, you're like trying to flee the island, and then you kind of get sucked into this guerrilla warfare group, and it just becomes about trying to take back the island from the dictator, right? Very Far Cry-esque, but like your character has history with the characters, and you feel like she's part of the island, and you can see right at the beginning that like she's so focused on like I'm gonna get off this fucking island and get to the mainland. And
well, you play as either a brother or sister, right? I think part of the plot
no,
line
they're not brother and sister. It's literally just you play as the same character, and it's either a male or female.
Oh, okay.
And I'm playing as a lady, but she's very talkative. She has personality, pretty good personality so far, and a lot of the characters that I met have been very fun and very colorful. I think this game leans very heavily into the things that the best entries in the series have done, which is lean into the craziness, lean into the silliness of it. Don't go too serious. I mean, it has definitely has some serious stuff going on in the story, but like
kind of four more than like 5.
4. Yeah, definitely 4 more than 5 for sure. But like right out of the gate, they give you an animal companion that follows you around everywhere, and that is just part of your repertoire, your tool set. And it's a fucking alligator with a jacket on, named Guapo, and
don't forget he has a huge gold tooth too.
Yeah, but you can like sick him on people, and he just fucking rips them. Like he grabs onto them, and then you've seen videos where alligators like latch on something and then start like rolling around on the ground. Roll. Yeah, it just does that to people, and it's fantastic. You can ride around on horses and stuff, and like I don't know, it just has a different feel to it. But like, and I don't remember how much of this was in because I feel like I've blocked a lot of 5 out of my memory. But a big thing about this game is you can actually holster your weapons, and you can walk around kind of freely. You'll see the soldiers kind of walking around the island, and they'll be interacting with people with the inhabitants of the island or whatever. But like, and they'll give you the stink eye, and they'll say stuff to you if you get too close to them. But as long as you have your gun holstered, they won't really attack you, which is kind of nice. But you can also like use that to your advantage. You can bribe certain guards on the island, and they'll tell you like where to like secrets about what you can find on the island and stuff. But you have to actually have stuff to give them. You can completely customize the way your character looks. Like you're finding all kinds of gear, like helmets and jackets and pants, and they give you they tweak your stats. You can only have a certain number of weapons. It's not like you have like a full repertoire of weapons at your disposal at all times. You kind of have to pick and choose what you use. And then they have all kinds of modifications and attachments and stuff. So you're upgrading these weapons that you choose to focus on. So just kind of like right out of the gate, it feels to me much more
alive.
It feels more alive. Yeah, like it just like the world feels more alive. And like one of the first things I noticed, first of all, I think this game is absolutely gorgeous. I'm playing on PS5, but like holy shit, it looks amazing. But I had like this flashbacks to the way I felt when I first played Far Cry 2. Like the first time I stepped foot in that world, which was kind of a game changer for me. It kind of was what turned me on to the franchise in the first place. But like, it's just the world feels really alive, and it seems much more mechanically deep. At least at this point so far. I don't know how it's going to shake out, but I'm digging it so far. And the only reason I wanted to bring it up tonight was because there's a lot of baggage that comes with this franchise, and rightfully so. And I have a bit of a reputation for like really being a huge fan of Far Cry, and that might be true. But when it comes right down to it, I feel like I only like highly recommend like maybe two or three of the games that have come out in the past however many years.
The series is a far cry from perfect.
Yes, it is. Thank you, Nolan, for getting that in there.
I don't even want to acknowledge that.
That's what she said.
But I just wanted to point out, like, dude, they give you. It's so focused on fun right out of the gate. Like, I've barely even started the game, and they've already given me that fucking crazy like backpack rocket launcher thing, which basically when you hit R1 and L1 at the same time, she just like hunkers down on the ground and fires these like homing missiles out of her back that like target like moving vehicles, and it's just, and like there's no real like care about like trying to make that seem realistic in any significant way. It's just like, this is crazy colorful, over the top world, and we're gonna lean into it, and I think it's better for it.
Is it still the same checkpoint you got to go liberate, and then the same resource grind to upgrade and build your stuff, and is it still that same stuff?
Well, it's because this is a Far Cry game, so it has a lot of the DNA. But I will say this: there's a lot more right out of the gate. There's a lot more customizable options. I've turned off like 90% of the HUD. So like, I am not focused. I am not running from like waypoint to waypoint or like looking at icons for the most part. You can still see the icons if you open your map. But you are taking back checkpoints and things like that. I think this is maybe the best. So at least so far, it seems like the best those things have ever been. But like, the grind of this game doesn't seem to be about like hunting for animals to finding skins to like that will allow you to make like a bigger wallet or whatever. It's more about finding materials that you can trade with people in towns, which will then let you build attachments for all of your weapons. And like, you go to the workbench and you open up the weapons.
That just sounds like upgrades with extra steps.
Yeah.
It
sounds like the grind is worse.
But I mean, like, but here's a serious question. What exactly? I mean, the grind that you mentioned is the game. It is the mechanic. It is like, what exactly? If they don't do those things, it's literally just a game where they put a gun in your hand and you just shoot everything, and there's like nothing to it, right? So like,
what is this? The Division?
What would you have them do? What would you have them do? I guess to make, for some people they're never going to be happy with it, and that's fine. I mean, it's not a game for everyone, but like, it is definitely a Far Cry game for sure. That is unmistakable. But like, the fact that I'm having to pick and choose the weapons that I'm going out into the field with, and then focusing my time trying to make those weapons better, just seems more interesting to me from a mechanical standpoint. But like, you're right. The underpinnings of the game are still very much Far Cry.
So don't get me wrong, Nick. I was being a little. I was kind of razzing you up. That was one. Honestly, that's kind of been one of my things that I like that in games. I do like the whole kind of collecting. Like, I can't just oh, get some money and buy a bigger, holster or a
Mhm.
bigger like weapons pouch or something. I do like the fact that it's like, oh, I need to go and find, like 5 boar skins. So let me go hunt some boar or something like that. And yeah, I mean, I guess the only difference here is that instead of just finding 5 and then crafting something, you find them and go and trade them to some dealer. So I guess to an extent, it's I guess more realistic. Um,
I think I mean honestly I'm obviously gonna keep playing it, and I'm this time next week I should have a much better idea of like how like what the grind actually is and like what the reward for that grind actually is, because it seems like there's a lot more room here for rewards to mean something, because like I open up, there's like however many different machine guns that you can equip, and when you open up each one of those they have different pieces of the gun that can be modified in any number of ways, like different scopes, different sights, different secondary fires, things like that. So it's kind of like you're customizing your weapons set, but like I'm still too early to really tell how much different that makes the experience. Um, so like I said, I'll bring it up again next week, and I'll have more to say about it.
Okay.
I do think, obviously, especially coming off of 5, I feel like a lot of people were maybe done with the series, and that's totally welcome. I was not a big fan of 5. We know Chris Davis hates 5.
Yeah,
Um,
there's this isn't an art. You don't have to try to pitch this to me because it's not going to work. There's nothing you could say that will make me ever play a Far Cry game ever again.
and that's fair. That is
Yeah,
totally fair.
but I am
But I will
genuinely
say
curious to
this.
find out if they fix like some of the absolute shit things they did in Far Cry 5 as far as like mission structure and story.
I can tell you this. Nothing that I've seen so far indicates that. I mean, there were some very obvious missteps with the way they handled story missions in 5 that it does not seem like have been repeated here in any shape or form. Like, I think it's very clear to them what was popular and what wasn't. And very much like the same way that Assassin's Creed kind of like responded to the way people responded to previous games, how it kind of like slowly evolved. But like the series, like that series specifically went through a very obvious transition at one point. And I don't think Far Cry has had that moment yet, and maybe it doesn't
Well,
need it. I don't think it needs it, but I mean, I don't. I'm of the opinion if they never make a Far Cry game again, I'll be fine. I don't really care. But as long as they're going to
there's
make it, they should
already
try to.
rumors going around about what the next Far Cry is, and it's definitely not something you're going to be happy about.
Well, now I'm curious. First of all, are
There,
these like rumors based on anything,
uh,
or are these?
there were reports out there that are, I guess, mixed confirmation. But what
Okay.
the suggestions are, and I'll just come straight out with it, is that it looks like Far Cry 7, if it is a numbered Far Cry, um, is going to be a fully online co-op experience.
Mm. Mm. See,
what's the
yeah.
problem with that?
I mean,
That
it's
sounds
it's
good to
just
me.
it's
I
just not
mean,
my thing. It's not my thing, but not to say I wouldn't play it if it looks cool, but like if that's like the only thing they're going to use, like if it's going to just look like Far Cry 6 but be like an open world online thing, like I don't think that's enough for me. But whatever. We're kind of getting into the weeds on like the future of Far Cry.
yeah.
I am and I don't even know how I feel about this game truly yet. I just know uh I consider Far Cry to be kind of comfort foody for me. Obviously, it's just
It's
when they
it's
do
a
it,
it's a it's a summer popcorn blockbuster
yeah,
game. That's what it
and
is.
when they do it well, I really enjoy it. I really enjoy it. I feel like Far Cry 5 did not do that for me, which sucks because I thought Far Cry 5 had a lot of potential to say interesting things, to do interesting things, to set itself apart for the series, but it didn't. It kind of flopped on all those fronts. So,
Yeah.
I'm hoping six does it for me.
And I hope I
I'm the
hope you can
person that still
report back
says
and
you
tell
should
us
play
that.
Primal.
Yeah. I hope that you can report back next week and tell me that Giancarlo Esposito's villain is actually a good villain this time around.
A
Um,
good villain, or it was like you mean like an actual? I can say
well,
this: he's been on screen a few times so far in the story, and I mean,
but
here's the thing: I fully expect them to fumble whatever like commentary they're trying to make here. They always do.
No.
Um,
I mean, that's not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for like something that's more than a one-note villain or something that's actually cleverer than they put him out to. Like, I think Pagan Men is like the highlight for this franchise's villains.
Sure.
Because they do interesting things.
Fair enough.
I'm gonna tell you this though. I mean, this is an actor that we're all familiar with. He's played lots of villains on lots of TV shows, lots of movies. What I've seen so far, he is doing that thing that we know and love him for.
Yeah.
But is he playing like the same villain he's always played though?
I think it's too early for me to tell. So I will report back on that. I think honestly the most interesting thing from a story perspective so far that I'm seeing, and this was in the trailer, so it's not a spoiler or anything, but like the relationship he has with his son, who at the beginning of the game is trying to escape the island, and then like you get dragged back into this. Like if you saw the scene that played out, they showed it at E3, I think, on the boat. It's literally that kid is trying to escape the island, so he stows away on this boat, and then he comes onto the boat and takes him off it and then kills everybody. And that's kind of how you get thrust into this and you decide to actually join the fight. So like there's something going on between him and his son, and I don't know where it's going. And that's what I am the most interested to see. But yeah, he is a very commanding presence, and he seems like a very, when he does his villain thing, I like it a lot. So I'll ask me again in a week or two when I've had a chance to really see more of that character stuff evolve. But so far, I think the highlights of what I wanted to point out specifically were that the character that you're playing as feels way more like a character, seems way more ingrained in the world. The world feels alive. A lot of the documents and stuff that you're finding are interesting because they're specifically they're coming at you from the perspective of someone who is trying to stand up to an oppressive regime, right? Like there's this one journal I found where someone was talking about how like they are a traitor. They have been labeled a traitor and they're proud of it because that's the only thing that they feel like they can do in this situation. And once they've accepted the fact that they're a traitor, then like it doesn't bother them anymore. And it's just like I feel like you don't really get a lot of that like depth, I guess, from the characters or from the story and some of the other ones. But again, don't know if it's going to deliver. Probably not going to, but I'm into it so far. So I will report back in a couple weeks. I'll have some footage to roll when I actually do.
Okay.
Speaking of, did you actually happen to get the footage for Kana?
Yeah, I've got Kana ready.
You can roll it, I guess. Just real quick update since I recorded that. I finished it. Actually, I don't even know what I want to say about it. I finished Kana Bridge of Spirits, and let me tell you, that game's hard as fuck.
Well, you played on hard.
I played on hard, but you know what?
You brought this on yourself.
I did bring it on myself. That game was giving me straight up flashbacks to Sekiro, man. I was doing boss fights like 20, 25 times in a row before I finally took it down. But I wasn't expecting that. I was expecting that game to be like super easy and breezy, and it totally turned out to not be that. Yeah, Prince of the Universe is the one that told me to play on hard, and I did. I'm never doing that again. When that man says play on hard, I go the other direction.
Okay, I was going to ask, are you going to listen to what Prince says, or just play on hard ever again? Okay.
I mean, here's the thing. Honestly, I was listening to someone else talk about Kana on another podcast, and there was no mention at all of the game being difficult. They were just
is it Kena or Kana?
I think it's Kana.
Okay.
They say it in the game, and I'm pretty sure it's Kana. But yeah, like I said, I haven't heard anybody else talk about it being hard, which makes me think if I had played it on normal, it would have just because they were talking about it in the from the sense of like it feels like one of these like platformers that was kind of tailor made for like kids. I guess I don't know if that's a great way to describe it. When in fact the experience I had was like kind of like baby's first Dark Souls, maybe. I don't know. But yeah, I finished it. It's great. It's got a great little story. It looks absolutely breathtaking. It's way more open than I ever would have expected. Like a lot of the areas that you end up going to, because it kind of funnels you into different directions. But when you finally get there, it kind of like opens up, and you're exploring these big open environments, and you're looking inside of structures, and you're climbing up cliff walls, and going into these like it's just way bigger and grander than I ever expected.
Okay.
And it has some really dope ass boss fights. I don't even remember what the footage I got was for this game because I recorded it like a week and a half ago. But man, it certainly it delivers some really interesting. Yeah, so this area I got footage of is just like this big open field that has like quite a lot of shit to find, a lot of secrets to find, a lot of interesting combat scenarios to get into.
Good soundtrack.
Yeah, man, they find. Yeah, it's a good, nice, pleasant sound. Not particularly memorable, I would say. Yeah, World Teller in chat says it reminds me of Cameo, and I think that's something I brought up in the past too. It reminds
a lot
me
of people have been saying that actually.
I think that's just because of like, it's just bright and vibrant like Cameo was, and this is harder than Cameo. Cameo might be, you know. I think that honestly the comparisons to Cameo kind of stop after you get past like the way the game looks, because these games have two totally different sets of mechanics. But
like,
I don't know.
Cameo is a very much one puzzle, one solution kind of game. The one thing it had notoriety about beyond its just character transformation was the fact that it had a very high NPC count on screen.
Yeah.
Like there was like you could have like 500 enemies on screen. That was really interesting for the time.
It was very tech demo at the time too. But and you know, in some ways, some people might try and say this is a tech demo. I certainly think this. I was expecting this to feel more like a tech demo, but this is very much a video game, if you ask me. And it does really cool things with combat that I wasn't expecting, and really requires you to be on your toes. There are some tough boss fights, but actually like. 3 of the boss fights in this game, I would easily say are going to be, you know, contenders for favorite boss fight of the year, because they're just really cleverly put together and demanding of the player, especially if you're playing on hard. But yeah, I haven't played it. It's like 2 weeks because, you know, like I said, I finished it right before we did the last show, or right after we did the last show. So, and I've moved on and played like 3 or 4 other things since then.
Well,
so,
but you enjoyed it.
Yeah, you know, I definitely enjoyed it.
Okay. May I offer a recommendation that I think Nolan would agree with me on?
Sure.
If you haven't played it, check out The Pathless.
Oh no, I started playing The Pathless.
Okay.
And then I got distracted. It's on my computer. In fact, I still think it's installed. I just haven't gone back to it yet. But yeah, that is a really cool game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I highly recommend it.
All right, Chris, how many? If we have a few other things to mention, impressions wise. So I don't know where you want to go from here.
Okay.
There's a game. I had another game, and I'm probably going to save it for next week. So wherever y'all want to, wherever y'all want to go.
Well, I've got 2 quick mentions and then actual impressions.
We'll take a break
real quick. Yeah, I was thinking like maybe we could do this podcast without a break, but I think we're going to need to take a quick break. Yeah. So why don't we do that now? We'll come back. We'll do a few more impressions and wrap up. So if you're watching us live, don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Hey, Henry. Pull my finger, dude. Ah! What's that? Show him. It's finger bubbles. We got finger bubbles for Halloween. Let's blow some finger bubbles. Oh, by the way, welcome to Brad's weekly update. It's a lot more Halloween-y around here. We're going to try something special. He's going to try it with me because I'm not so sure about these. These are Brock's candy corns. Turkey dinner, apple pie, and coffee candy corn. And if you look closer, It says green beans, roast turkey, cranberry sauce, and stuffing. Which sounds absolutely disgusting. So he's going to help me eat them. Okay? These are candy corns. And after we're done here, maybe I'll send him away and tell you about what I've been playing this week. Alright, let's try. We're going to open these up, okay, buddy? This is candy, but it's going to taste... It's candy that tastes like other things. Like turkey or candy that tastes like green beans. Isn't that weird?
Yeah.
Okay, let's try this. Alright, first one. Do you want to try a green bean? Actually, okay, Henry, don't scrape it to the mic, dude. We're doing a video. Alright. Here, here, I want you to hold this, buddy. Hold this, because if it tastes gross, I want you to spit it out in here. But eat it if it tastes okay, okay? Hold that. Alright, this one, it's a green bean candy.
Yeah.
It's a candy corn that tastes like green beans. Here, try it. Try it. Hold it. You gonna try it? It tastes like green beans. Is it weird?
Yeah.
Is it good? Alright, I'll try.
I don't want to spit out because...
Is it good?
No. But my drum is not hurt. So
What?
I don't want to spit in here.
Henry, this is gonna go on the podcast. We gotta go. Here's a cranberry sauce one. It's like some Willy Wonka nonsense. You want another one? I want to make sure I don't give you a coffee one. I don't know if you'll like coffee flavor. Okay. I think this one is turkey dinner. No, that one's coffee. I don't know what this is. Eat this one and tell me what it tastes like.
No, this is coffee.
You don't know what coffee is. How's that one? Alright, I'm going to try to find a turkey dinner here. I think it might be this one. Or this one might be stuffing. Oh. Oh. It tastes like something that shouldn't be a can. Oh. That's either stuffing or turkey. You want to have another green bean one?
Yeah.
I'm going to eat your vegetables today. Ugh. Now I'll try a green bean one too. Oh. Oh. Hold on. This is... No, that's not good. Alright, I'll try a green bean one.
Mercy.
Oh! How did you eat that green bean one? Oh! My God! This kid doesn't eat candy ever, so to him it's probably like, it tastes okay. I can't eat any more of these. These are gross. Oh! Oh!
I don't eat coffee.
Dad needs this coffee. Okay, buddy, thanks. Were those okay?
Yeah.
You like those?
Yeah.
Well, I'm not gonna be eating any more of those. Hey,
Yay!
hey, have you been playing any games lately? No?
Yeah.
Hey, Henry, what are you gonna be for Halloween?
I don't know.
Yeah, you do. You tried on the costume yesterday. What are you gonna be?
I got B.
Henry, you tried it on. Remember it blew up?
I want to try Mario.
Okay, Mario. Yeah. Well, maybe we'll in an episode right before Halloween we'll have him try on his outfit or something. Anyways, that's gross. Ugh. You excited for Metroid? You excited for Metroid this weekend? Yeah? Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I'm gonna talk to these people. You're screeching into the mic, so I'm gonna send you away. You go back to Mom, okay? Ugh. And I'm gonna tell them what I've been playing. Hi. Go to Mom. She's in your room. Ugh. Ugh. I'm glad he was there because that was awful. All right, how far are we into this? Just 5 minutes. Let me tell you about what I've been playing. Not a whole hell of a lot, but I did start some new things.
I got a tattoo on it.
Oh, show me your tattoos. All right, come back.
I got this tattoo.
Show them your Halloween tattoos.
I got my...
All right, turn your hand around. How do I turn it around without breaking your... Oh, there it is. You got a bat? What is that?
A witch.
Oh, it's a witch? What do you got in this hand?
A black cat.
A black cat. Okay. Hey, Henry, go back to your room and close the door, buddy.
Wait, these are my stuff.
We're doing a video here. Go. Take all your stuff. I've been playing Lost Judgment. I started Lost Judgment the other day. It's like a big... Close that door, buddy. Thank you. I've been playing Lost Judgment. It's the new Yakuza spin-off game. I played through that first game a couple years ago, and I really liked it. And this one, honestly, seems even better. It's like the first one, except it takes place in Yokohama, which was the big city from Yakuza 7. And you have a skateboard. You could skateboard around, although it's kind of slow, but you get better skateboards that are faster. Most importantly, it's like 21 Jump Street. You're going undercover in a school because there's like bullying and people like, like a teacher goes up, missing, and then they find him and he's fucking dead. And they're like, who killed this teacher? And it's like, it's these bullies, and you beat the shit out of high school kids, like high school bullies. You're like a 40-year-old man and you're beating the shit out of them. It's kind of crazy. But then you become like the head of all these clubs, and I joined like the dance club and the detective mystery club and the boxing club and the robotics club, and you're like, you're not a student, but you're like the undercover advisor for these clubs. I don't really know, but it's pretty good. It's pretty wild, and there's a skate park where you can do tricks. It's very weird, but honestly, I feel like the initial mystery of this game is a little bit more compelling, a little more exciting. I kind of want to see what's going on. The setup is really cool, and I'm just really enjoying it. Honestly, I think the combat is probably the best it's ever been in Yakuza, just in terms of like controls and how free-flowing it is and how easy it is to like change between stances and link stuff together. It just feels really good. The new snake stance is really cool. You can like pull weapons out of people's hands after a grapple, and it just feels good to play Yakuza. Yakuza used to not feel very good to play. It used to be really clunky and awkward, and their heart was always in the right place, but now it actually feels good to beat people up. It's just beat up children in high school. Other than that, I caved. I bought the Castlevania Advance Collection. I told myself I wasn't going to do it because I didn't want to play those right now, because I could just pick them up on a sale later down the road, but I caved. I picked it up. I started Circle of the Moon. I've played all these games before. I've finished all these games before, but Aria of Sorrow is probably the real gem of the collection. It's honestly one of the best Castlevania games ever, but don't start with that one because it'll be harder to go back to the others, which are fine, but not as good as Aria. I've been playing Circle of the Moon, which was that first one on GBA, and it's good, but like the controls are really clunky. They have this thing where you walk like super fucking slow, and you can dash, but you have to double tap. And you can jump far and high, but you have to double tap jump. So the entire game, you're just mashing on double tap, and it just feels really clunky and awkward. I really wish they had gone in there and maybe put in a run button or an auto run to make it way less clunky. But it seems like all the stuff they added, like the rewind feature, the bestiary, the monster encyclopedia that has all the drops and stuff, all that stuff is cool, but it's kind of in there on like an outer shell level, but it's good. I'm glad that stuff's there. I just wish they kind of went in there and tweaked some of the actual mechanics. It's pretty much just been those two games. One thing I've been wanting to play, but I'm trying to find a really good time to play, to sit down and play like a lot of it without any of these children interrupting me, which is really hard these days, but is the Outer Wilds expansion, the DLC, the free update that came out, which I hear is pretty great and pretty like expansive and pretty mind-blowing in the ways that Outer Wilds can be. I love that game, and I really want to find time to kind of play this new stuff without being interrupted, but I'll get there. And wow, this is my longest one. Yeah, this is 10 minutes long. It's gonna be a long break on the podcast, and they take long breaks anyways. Y'all have a good week and a happy Halloween. I'll be trying more weird stuff this week. Like I said, maybe Henry will pop on with his costume. It's pretty cool. You gotta see it. It's pretty cool. And it's not just Mario. And that's it. Bye.
Welcome back. What was your question, Chris Davis?
I was asking you, Nick, what else you are playing right now.
What else? You're saying that like you're about to squeeze in some jab at me for not playing 13 Sentinels, but I'm gonna go ahead and entertain the notion as anyways. I'm currently playing
yourself,
Tales.
okay.
I'm currently playing Tales of Arise. I played a little bit more of that. Still pretty good. I'm playing Industria, which is one I'm gonna probably save and talk about next week when I have a chance to finish it. I'm playing Eastward on my Switch. I just got Metroid Dread today. Haven't started it, but I'm gonna do that. And Far Cry 6. Though that is
How many games are you playing at once?
More than I would like. So there. That's the answer to your question, Chris Davis.
Okay. Are you going to get to 13 Sentinels this year?
Yeah. I don't know. We'll see. Anyways, hey Nolan, what else? You said you had a quick mention. What you got?
Yeah, just because Bernadette and I had been playing Overcooked 2 and getting all like the 4 stars and stuff, and there was a one evening where I was kind of like, I am not in a mood to be angry, so let's not play some of these more challenging levels, and so we ended up starting Sackboy's Big Adventure.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I know, and that's why I don't want to talk about it too much. I know Brad talked about it when it first came out because it was one of the OG PS5 games. But yeah, Burnett and I started playing it, and yeah, it is definitely enjoyable to the point where I'm debating. And I understand that Sackboy's Big Adventure is very different from the old school Little Big Planet games, but maybe potentially going back and playing some of those with Bernadette, just so we're have fun playing kind of couch co-op games that are less stressful. Mm-hmm.
Have you played It Takes Two yet?
Yeah, we finished it.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Yeah.
I'm very familiar with Moon Baboon and the Queen.
Oh, yes, right. I remember having that whole conversation now about that. Yeah, okay. Just blinked. That is like one of those games like Robin and I are going to go back to that because that is definitely one I want to sit down and finish for the end of the year. I forgot all about Sackboy. But
so far, I mean, it's pretty good. It's not so it's not so stressful that it's frustrating. There are definitely some, I guess challenging aspects to it, but it's also one of those things where it's more of it's challenging because it's a surprise because each level is unique, and all of a sudden some new mechanic or something, it's like, oh, I didn't see that coming and I died. So when you either have to restart at a checkpoint or restart the level, you usually don't end up dying there and you make it through. And also the levels are not like 20-minute levels. They're like less than 10 minutes for the most part. There's a couple that get on the long side, but yeah, we've been enjoying
playing
that
in short bursts.
Mm-hmm. And yeah,
cool.
Which we've definitely done. Not every night, but several nights over the past week, whatever. We just play a few levels here and there. Yeah. It's fun.
Sweet.
It's really unfortunate what happened to the Little Big Planet servers. That was really kind of sad.
Oh, did they turn them off?
They were forced to shut down all of them.
All of them?
Like, all the servers are gone. Little Big Planet 1 through 3 and Vita is now a single-player or co-op only experience.
And you can't even access all those levels
nope,
anymore.
They're gone. Unless you download them, they're gone.
Ooh, shit. That super sucks. Okay, let's move on to something less sucky. Chris Davis, what you said you had a few things. What you got?
Okay. I've got a couple quick missions and then an impression. The quick mentions, I played through both Road 96 and Unmetal. Road 96 and Unmetal. We both talked about those previously. I played them during the previous Steam Next event back in June.
Yeah.
So there's not much to update other than that. Unmetal is a really fun kind of comedy take on the classic Metal Gear games. Not Metal Gear Solid, but Metal Gear. Told through like a flashback narrative style that's pretty linear, but just honestly a lot of good little hokey fun. The writing is a little kind of, you can tell that the person writing it, English wasn't their first language. It's a little kind of like heavy-handed and weird as to how it's done, but it's still a good fun little jaunt.
Okay.
I do recommend it. They do evolve the mechanics, and they kind of let you have a little bit of variety as to playing through chapters and things like that. But it's quite a bit of fun. And then Road 96, also played through back in June. It's just a lot of that's
Well, you played
that's
this all
kind
the way
of
back
this
in
year's
June?
Life is Strange for me. Like Life is Strange 1 for me. It's really cool how it's structured as kind of like a semi roguelike experience where you're a teenager trying to escape your totalitarian country that's about to face a major election that has a lot of political implications. And you're kind of evolving the conversation of the election and influencing people by having these conversations with a set of NPC characters as you're slowly going towards the border to escape the country.
Yeah, and you're like hitchhiking, right? You're catching rides with people and having these conversations. Isn't that kind of the gist of the story?
Basically, yeah. And every run is different between players. And not so much like you will experience the same events, but like they can play out a little bit differently, and the order in which you would get them is going to be random between players.
Gotcha.
But a lot of like these set events that happen with all these characters are really good. Some of them are like just you really feel for, and then there's some that will like that are straight up horror experiences. I would really like you to play through this game, Nick. I think you would
I
have
know,
a
and
good time with it.
I've kind of had my eye on it, and I might. That's one that I want to try and find some time for. That's a game maybe unlike Far Cry that I think might ultimately end up handling some of the commentary stuff pretty well.
I think it does a decent job with the commentary. I think it's a little heavy-handed for what they're trying to go with, but they kind of have to because of how abstract they're trying to keep the focus. Because this is a totalitarian nation that had a terrorist attack 10 years previous, and there's just a lot of political tension in the air.
So is it set in like a fictional country, or is it like that is?
Yeah,
that
you are in a fictional country called Pateria. But everyone speaks perfect English, and everything's in English and everything. There are modern day political references going on as far as tone goes.
Yeah.
But it's like the journey's fun. The things that could happen and the character encounters are really, I think, pretty well done. And just again, some of those events and things that you do, like they will startle you.
All right. I'm into this. This is one I think I'm gonna end up playing because it looked cool. I wish I had played the demo during Steam Next Fest, but I didn't. I ran out of time. I could only play so much. There's not enough hours in the day.
Yeah, there were a ton of demos, but that was one of the good ones.
So
and then the game I wanted to
though.
talk about tonight, the other one I wanted to talk about, is another kind of Brad Nolan. If I may have your attention, please. It's a pretty good game. Even Carlos, hope you're listening, but hope you're paying attention. This one is called Kaiju Wars.
Oh my goodness.
So yeah, you know how I am with giant monster movies and stuff like that. But this one is it's actually pretty cool. Let me speed up in the footage real quick.
Everybody who saw this on the dock had the same reaction. Was like, I don't think that's a real video game.
They thought this was a fake ass video game.
They thought Chris Davis was making jokes.
This is like a 1.5 take on Into the Breach. This is an evolved version of Into the Breach.
I was about to say this looks like Into the Breach as fuck.
Yeah. This is basically Into the Breach with deck builder elements built into it. So you play as the mayor of a megacity with like a population of 1.2 billion people. And shortly after you are elected, giant monsters start attacking the city. And each of these 45 missions is the next step in a narrative in which monsters keep attacking and you have to counter with the military. It's not so much a puzzle element like Into the Breach, to where you automatically know exactly where a monster is going and what they're going to do every single turn. The game gives you a prediction estimate of where the monster is going to go and what they're going to target, but you don't know for certain. Your monsters have health bars and speed meters, and as you attack and you wear down their health meters, they'll hit certain marks in which they will start moving slower and they will take additional damage and things like that. Each monster also tends to have different special abilities. This one in particular is a flying monster. In this mission in particular, it's the first time you're introduced to a flying kaiju. And its ability is that every 4 turns, it will wipe out any enemy that's within like a certain radius of it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, the loop is structured where you have an economy system as well as a science economy. You are spending money to build bases and spawn in units that you can send after the monster. Each unit has set abilities, like it'll be better at ground attacks or be better at counter attacks. So if a monster attacks your unit, if it has a counter, it will do a certain amount of damage before it dies. You spend more money to spawn a unit, but once it dies, you can call it back at a base for a much cheaper price. So you're spending $3 to call in a tank, but once that tank dies on your next turn, you can spawn it in again for $1. There's the science. So the whole loop of the game is that you cannot kill a kaiju, but you can drive it off the map in a victory. So it's very hard to kill or drive away a kaiju through attacks, but you can drive away a kaiju through building up your science breakthrough meter, and then at the end of that breakthrough, you administer like a tranquilizer that will drive it off. Yeah, the whole loop is to build up your breakthrough meter to eventually drive off the monster. At the same time, okay, go ahead.
Sorry, I was just gonna say, I'm looking at this because it strikes me very much as Into the Breach, which makes me wish that I legitimately knew more or remembered more about Into the Breach. It's another one of those games that never really clicked with me, and I never really ended up playing too much of it. But like, how similar is this loop, would you say, to? Does it just look like Into the Breach, but mechanically it's different, or is this pretty similar?
So one of the main aspects of Into the Breach was that you always knew where a monster was going to be going, what their next turn was going to be, and you could manipulate them. So you could like punch them in a direction, and then they could end up attacking one of their friends because they were going to move in that direction or attack in that direction.
Gotcha.
That's not in here. It's instead like a prediction of where the monster can go, not necessarily where it will actually go. So you'll get like a 55 or 67% chance of it going to this tile and then moving to this tile. And you may have like a 100% chance of it going after a certain target, like a watchtower, which affects your breach meter, or a building, or one of your bases, things like that. But they're always going to try to prioritize like buildings and things in the environment. So at the same time, while this whole loop is going on, here's where the deck builder comes in. So there is a certain mysterious faction in the game that's trying to help the monsters take over and destroy the map. And every turn, the enemy faction plays a card. And it will be things like a black op will happen, in which enemies will somehow break through and do harm to security. At a certain point, you will run out of your security points, your locks that are in the lower left-hand corner, and then that will trigger a sequence in which the monster now knows where your scientist is. Your scientist is always going to be in a lab somewhere on the map, but the monster doesn't know where the scientist is. But once they know, they will immediately beeline towards the lab.
Monster.
Yeah. As soon as that happens, you have to evacuate the lab at a certain point, or kill the monster before it gets there. Otherwise, it's game over. Mm-hmm. Now, at the start of your turn, you get your own cards that you can play from your deck that you're collecting as you play through from map to map to map to map. So they can vary, like things like you can spawn a unit for free and it can take an action on this turn. Or you can get a cooldown on summoning experimental weapons, which do a lot more bonus damage. Things like that. And it gets into a pretty fun little loop of playing out these cards and trying to fend off the monster for time while you build through your breakthrough meters and hopefully eventually reach victory. Gotcha. So yeah, I just got a science breakthrough because I just filled up my meter. I need to fill up that meter 2 more times. I can do that either by doing the science meter, filling that up all the way, or if I knock a kaiju out and drive it off the map. There could be multiple kaiju on a map. But yeah, it's really fun. There's the people that are making this. So this team is the same team that made the Radio General game that came out last year, where it was just that. General. Yeah, it got a little bit of notoriety because it was a game where it was just you as a general in a tent with a map in front of you, and you're tracking like enemy movements and giving orders to your units through voice commands. You might have seen something about that. Got a little notoriety and it was supposed to be pretty good. This is their Into the Breach next game. These people are my people because number one, they love Into the Breach, but more importantly, number two, they love giant monster movies and stuff like that. And let me tell you how I know this.
Well, they made a game called Kaiju Wars. That's the first clue.
That's the first clue. But more importantly, this very much more specific note. So this game, it's not due out until February. It's got a lot of placeholder stuff.
This is early access.
Yeah. Well, no, it's not early access. This was a demo for the Steam Next Fest.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Yeah. So there's a lot of placeholder stuff. They don't have all the kaiju designs in there. In fact, they make a joke early on in the game where you see this kaiju for the second time. Oh, yeah, we don't have all the art assets in here. Trust me, there's more kaiju in the game. They're heavily hinting that there's like a Gamera in there, okay?
Yeah.
But the music they have for when you hit a breakthrough is straight up placeholder music taken from a NES fucking turn-based strategy Godzilla game. And as soon as I heard that music, I immediately recognized it, and I kind of lost my shit on the stream.
Oh, you nerd.
So I know these are my people. They're making a video game for me. So
you know what the first clue that they were making a video game for you was, Chris Davis?
It had Kaiju in the name?
Sorry, Nolan. Continue, Nolan.
No, so what I wanted to bring up, and yeah, the game does look interesting. I like the concept. And I do like the art style. Yes, it very much reminds me of Into the Breach. But I kind of wanted to hit on a point that Beck also shared in chat. While it looks nice, it's kind of clusterfucky. Okay. There is so much going on.
To be fair, this is a more advanced match, and this is like 8 or 9 levels into the demo. Okay, and they're introducing a brand new monster and a brand new concept to this match. This one introduces crises, in which crises can pop up around the map, and in this instance, it's this volcano in the map that's erupting. It's spewing lava everywhere, and it's turning areas, lighting them on fire. And if you have a unit in that area, it'll take damage. And any base or building that's in that area that's on fire, you don't get the economy points, and you can't spawn any units on that. So this is a very visually busy map, but all the other maps that I have played are much less busy.
I will say this. I do think certain elements, I mean, I too think it has like a kind of a nice general aesthetic to it, but I think there's certain elements, like in particular the fire animation and the those like watchtowers with their like lights kind of spinning around, that are very it automatically pulls your eyes toward it. It's kind of distracting, so it kind of makes it hard to focus on any one particular area of the map. Which, to be honest, I didn't play enough of Into the Breach to know this or not, but I feel like that game could have also run into similar issues like that, but
It could have, but it didn't.
But it
and
didn't.
That's what I was gonna say. Like, I think the problems I'm currently pointing out are easily fixable. In that, that the fire, like Nick said, you could make that animation smaller, or maybe it moves a little less. The same with the spotlights; they don't need to be a bright white. They could be almost like a translucent, or like maybe like a yellowish color, just something that's less. And even like the scenes where it zooms in on the kaiju, like all of a sudden there's like 40 things going on, and like it's just like it's so busy. And like I said, all of that is fixable. And I would hope that they get around. Like my hope is that for as interesting as the game looks, my hope is they got a lot of that feedback from the demo and the Steam Next Fest or whatever.
They're being pretty responsive to feedback. Like they really came at it. A lot of this is placeholder, and it wasn't supposed to be in there, and they're addressing it. But the two things I will say to the visual design is, again, number one, this game I think plays out better when you're not having like a scrunched up screen and you got like full screen.
Sure.
And again, number two, this is a bad visual example of the overall game, unfortunately.
So it's your fault, Chris Davis.
It is kind
you
of my
chose
fault.
the worst level.
I chose the worst level because
that's fine. Is this demo? I know you said it was during the Next Fest. It's not. Is it still available, or?
I don't know, honestly.
Okay, that's fine.
You can look it up on Steam, but it's due out in February.
That's plenty of time to address some of these issues, I think.
Yeah, I think they've got plenty of time. But again, other than that, like it's got all the tropes that you love, like monsters attacking the city and the military attacking it, and then all the experimental weapons are great. Like there's a freezer weapon that will reduce the monster's movement by 1 or 2 points. There will be like a guardian robot thing that starts as a plane, but when it takes damage, it doesn't die. It just gets pushed back a tile or two, and it becomes like this ground robot that can attack again. And there's another thing called the Super ZX2, which is a direct Godzilla reference. That's another flying kind of fortress thing. Like they're just having a lot of fun, just playing into the tropes of the genre and just experimenting and going beyond like the scope of what Into the Breach kind of was at its core. Not necessarily. There's no time travel aspects of it yet. I wouldn't put it past it, since again they're pitching like 45 missions for this game.
Well, it is certainly a game made by your people, Chris Davis.
It is,
and of that we can be sure, and that is congratulations. So many kaiju.
I gotta have it.
This looks really neat. I can't, considering the fact that I had such a hard time getting into the Breach, which I know is kind of blasphemy at this point, but I don't know.
I have had Into the Breach installed on my computer for about 3 or 4 years. I've never actually played it, so I understand.
These guys.
I at least played it, and then decided it wasn't for me. But that's neither here nor there. This looks pretty cool though, and kaiju are inherently pretty dope.
Yeah.
All right. So, like I mentioned, this is going to be kind of a quicker show. I think that kind of does it for impressions this week. Primarily we wanted to play catch up because next week we're going to have a lot to talk about with Metroid Dread, among other things. So, unless y'all have any objections, why don't we just wrap up with the 4-player minute?
Oh, we're actually
good
doing
with that?
I don't know. I was going to spring it on you.
Oh,
I can pull something out of my butt.
All right. Who wants to pull something out of their butt first? That sounded wrong.
I have a hype, but I don't have anything else. I have a hype and a fuck you, and that's it.
That's perfect. You're halfway there already. Now just come up with 2 other things you're excited about, which shouldn't be very hard. One of them could be Kaiju Wars. I don't care.
Okay, fuck it.
Do it.
All
Chris
right,
Davis.
I'll do it.
Go.
My first hype is for Kaiju Wars. I loved playing this demo. It is beefy. There's like 8 or 9 different missions you can go on of a 45 mission game, and it's due out in February. And it's this developer has a reputation for putting out good stuff, and I just like it. And I'm hyped for it. My second hype is for The Godzilla event that happens at the Alamo Draft House in November. It's the 67th anniversary of the first film, and they're doing a special screening of several movies, and I've already bought tickets, and I'm already looking forward to that. My first fuck you of the week goes to Ubisoft, because fuck you. There's not been another Splinter Cell, and I don't trust you. You announced a Battle Royale Ghost Recon game. How fucking dare you? How dare you? That would have been great 3 years ago, 4 years ago, maybe, but not now.
No, it wouldn't.
No, fuck you. Hey, how dare you, Ubisoft? And my other fuck you goes to Nick for not playing 13 Sentinels yet, because that's a great game, and you've had it installed for months now, and it should have been on. You should have been playing it by now.
Can you give me more hours in the day? That'd be nice.
I mean, I could.
That'd be very nice.
Yeah.
There's only so much I can do with the time we have. But you know what? It's installed. I'm not uninstalling that thing until I play it. So you can rest easy knowing that.
As long as you
even if I don't get to it before the end of this year, it's not coming off my PS5 until I've played that damn game.
Just as long as this doesn't end up being a revival club game once you play it for the first time.
It won't be. I promise you it won't be.
Okay.
All right. Nolan, your turn.
All right, my 4-player minute starts now. My hype is for more Metal Gear. I've really been enjoying playing through 2. So I'm pretty excited. I don't know if I want to do Peace Walker next or Metal Gear Solid 3.
Which one
chronologically it would be 3. I mean, chronologically it goes 3, Peace Walker, 2. So at this point I could just play them in reverse. But I'm not sure which one I want to do yet. My sweat is going to be for Metroid Dread. Not because I'm worried about it. It's just more because I have a bunch of other stuff on my plate, but I also do want to play Metroid Dread. So I'm not really sure how I want to handle that. And my fuck you is going to go to the sniper levels in the Metal Gear Solid 2 VR missions. Jesus fucking Christ! Like I told myself I'm just going to play all the VR missions. I'm not going to try and get like gold or the number 1 top score. I'm just going to play them. Holy shit, dude! There's this VR sniper, whatever one's gonna fuck me over. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to finish it.
Wait until you play some of like the Metal Gear Solid 1 Snake versions. They get insane. There's one where you're fighting against a wave of like 20 dudes, and they all have stealth camo.
All right, and then my thank you is actually going to go to Kojima for stopping the fear from crawling around on the ground licking bird poop. Thank you for not letting that happen.
We can all thank you for that.
Yeah,
that's fantastic. All right, I too am going to pull a 4-player minute out of my butt. Here we go. Let's see. I'm gonna say my hype. I got my hands on a Switch OLED today. Got it all hooked up and.
Does it look nice?
It looks nice. It's the bevel is much smaller. The dock is white. I like that a lot. I wish I was going to use the Joy-Cons more, but I got those. What are they? The hoary fat Joy-Cons that are really really good, and it's kind of hard to go back after you. But the ones that I was using before still work on this model, so I'm going to use them. But I got that with Metroid Dread, so that was nice. And I'm looking forward to finally playing that. It sounds to me like Metroid might be back. Getting lots of really good reviews and all that. So that's cool.
So I'm not trying to be that guy, Nick. But just as an FYI, it's bezel, not bevel. A bevel would be like when it's like
you're right.
An edge that's like
You're not
bezel as the edge. I'm just trying to make sure that.
No, you're good. You're right. You're absolutely right. I used the wrong word. Fuck me. My fuck you this week.
You're only off by a letter.
It's true. That is true. Let's see. What else? My sweat, I guess. Sweat/hype. I'm, Far Cry 6. Like I said, it's a bit of my comfort food. I really was not pleased with the way Far Cry 5 turned out. But like. My early impressions of this have been pretty good. I got that kind of excited feeling in my stomach when I was like, ooh, I like this island is huge and it's beautiful and like everything feels nice and like so far the story seems pretty cool, the characters seem pretty cool and fun and I'm into it. I hope the path that I'm on is good. We'll see if it stays that way. Let's see. My fuck you of the week goes to me for I bought Life is Strange True Colors, and I've been looking forward to playing that, but I can't seem to find enough time in the world to play all the things. Like I beat Deathloop, and I was like, yes, I crossed a game off my list. Oh look, Far Cry comes out tomorrow. So it's kind of like, when the fuck am I gonna find time? Fuck me, I don't have time for all this shit. It's too much. And of course, my last hype, as always, we're 30 days away from the release of the new season of Dexter, and I'm pretty fucking excited. So, yeah. You're both looking at me funny. Or you're looking at something funny.
Nope, I think it's good. Yeah.
All right, cool. And that's it. That's my 4-player minute. Thank you guys for tuning in. Again, sorry we missed the show last week. We just wanted to make sure we had something out for you guys, and we got a chance
Me
to
and Chris Davis had fun playing State of Decay 2. It's not as bad as it was when the game launched.
Have you played any more?
No.
No, not at all.
It's one of those situations where I'm probably not going to play that game by myself. I think playing it with I think that's another good example of a game that I would enjoy a whole lot more having someone else there. Not to quote make the game easier, but more so I think a game of that style, like, it's similarly why I enjoyed playing so much of Dying Light co-op. In a game in like an apocalypse setting, it is much more fun when you have someone either not just to watch your back, but to talk to while you're doing stuff in the world. So I think that's why I find games like that a lot more enjoyable when you have someone else there with you.
Absolutely. Speaking of games that are enjoyable to play with other people, we played last night. We streamed Hell Let Loose, which is a game. Kind of like, it's an open world military simulation multiplayer. It's like Battlefield with but like super simulation-esque. And that's a game that Joseph's been looking forward to for a long time. So I hope we can have him on a show in the next couple weeks to talk about that. It's a game I definitely know I'm going to try and play more of before we have a chance to talk about it on the show. But damn, that game's pretty cool. So we'll talk about that in the coming weeks. We'll talk about Metroid Dread. We have a lot. I mean, we're getting towards the end of the year, but there's still stuff coming. And yeah, that's all we got tonight, guys. Of course, if you have not yet, please join our Discord. It's discord.gg/4player. You can find all of our podcast episodes at 4playernetwork.com. And in the meantime, stay safe and be good to each other. Play video games, all that good stuff. And we'll see you next week. Good night.
Bye.
Bye.